Hello, everybody. Welcome, Rays of Sunshine and Soul Warriors, Game Changers. I have a very important video today. This is so important. It really, truly is. And I get chills when I say that. It is very important for our soul, for the whole. The truth shall always set you free. Understand that. I want you to feel that, okay? A lot of us are aware at this time that the earth is shifting, right? There's cray things happening, right? And I'm getting a lot of chills as I'm talking about this. I'm going to take my time with this video, so I hope you can sit with me through this video and watch diligently because God put it in my heart to share this today. Okay, I've shared many things about this before, but I feel like right now it's important. And I don't necessarily always know why God puts things in my heart when He does, but it's always relevant. Okay, so my hope is that your heart is open wide and your mind is calm today because this is beyond the mind. Okay, it truly is. This video is about Jesus, Horus, and Adam. Okay. And we are in what they call an ascension, right? There's crazy things happening. And at the time of this video, it is October 4th of 24. And we just had a major hurricane wipe through the East Coast, right? And there's a lot of, you know, understanding that it was very powerful and not normal as far as these weather patternings go. And so no matter who you are, you can look across the globe and see that things are different. They are not normal. They are not playing out the way they always used to play out, right? Some might say that there's a lot of craziness happening, right? People have lost their minds. um, well, I really do have something important to share with you today, okay? And just hear me out because I understand that where there is shadow within us, it is hard to see. The world we were in, they made it hard to see the truth. They have lied to you a lot, and I do mean a lot. I'm going to take my time with this video. It's important that I do because something here needs to be seen for all because it will help you. It will help you rise. It will help you release karmic demise. It will help you free your soul in many ways, more than you know. I'm going to talk about Jesus, Horus, and Adam. I'm going to talk about some things that don't align with what they've told you. I'm going to talk about some things that are really hard to process and hard to understand. But I just ask that you hear me out. Because I will tell you that right now we can no longer be duality. And I'm going to explain to you why and what that means. We can no longer be duality. And there are changes coming for you that you don't understand. Because they're beyond our limited mind space. They're beyond the world that we knew. The world that we know. The world that we were accustomed to. The world that we were born into. They go beyond that space. And I'm getting so many chills as I say this. So it's so important, okay? But when you bring things that are duality based, like judgment and fear and ego, into this space, it completely blinds you, okay? That doesn't mean you're going to walk off blinded, literally. But what it means is you won't be able to see God, true God, not the biblical God. They're two different things. Because religion is not God's heart sings, okay? There should be no division. There should be no judgment. There should be no fear. And there won't be anymore because the changes are here, okay? We can no longer live outside of what is God. We can no longer do things the way we used to do them. We can no longer be both darkness and light. Some amazing things came through me since 2019 that I didn't see coming, and that took me a long time to process. They were my awakening journey. And they meant so many things, but I didn't understand them while I was going through them fully because it was happening to me. And this is very real. I wouldn't want to make this up. I'm a mommy. I'm a single mommy, and I love my babies very much. And all I ever want is what's best for them. And so these are things, not things that I would just make up. I wouldn't want to put myself out there in a way that would be a lie or be misconstrued, just like all of us. Okay? So trust me when I tell you that when I come to you from this space, it's very real. It's humbled. It's profound. A lot of chills. And it's beyond what I understood too. Until it was all done. It was happening through me. It truly was my awakening. Okay? So, you guys, what I'm going to tell you is very real. It's very humbling. It's very vast. And no matter who you are, it's going to affect you. The way things are going to affect you depends on your perspective, your ability to see beyond the illusion and the confusion, beyond the false veil that was created to dupe all of you. We were all basically shackled and bound. And now it's time to rise to freedom, true freedom, where there's no lies, where there's no suffrage, where there's no fear, where there's no judgment. You don't have to worry anymore about anything outside of unconditional love. You can heal. You can be whole once again. That is the new earth. But we can't take any of that with us either. It is now time to release all wounds, and all karmic ties have to be healed in order to rise. And I do mean all of them. Now this video is vast, so just bear with me. Stay with me till the end, and you might just awaken in ways you never saw coming. Give it time to process. That's all I ask. Keep negative comments away, because it will truly hurt you. It doesn't just hurt me. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to be judged, right? It hurts, but it's not of God. And when you are in the true house of God, things like judgment and ego and fear cut you off from that light, especially now, because we cannot be duality anymore. We must rise now to unconditional love completely. Okay? So my prayer, my intent is that you find this space of comfort for being here, because if you are here right now listening to this video, no matter when you find this, there is a reason. There is a reason you have found this space. There is a reason you are hearing me today. And it's because God is calling you home. But in order to get there, we have to see the truth. And that can be difficult sometimes. It can be difficult sometimes, okay? So just bear with me, because it's a lot. So I channeled a quick message I'm going to give you, and then I'm going to show you some things about my journey. Some things about Jesus we didn't know the truths of. Some things about Horus and even Adam. Are you ready? This is the channeled message that came through today. Changes are inbound. If you cannot feel them and see them already, they are here. Bigger than one can fathom. They're very large. This is a great reset of mankind. This is the end of ways outside of true God. These are very large changes. And it's not about fear, because fear will blind you. But that's what the Matrix wants you to believe. That people like me are crazy. That I can't be real. That this can't be real work. And this can't be the way it would happen. And this is just all crazy. That's what the Matrix wants you to believe. Because it's taking their power back. You're taking your power back by being here. by hearing these things, by choosing to put lots of chills, sorry, by choosing to push past the illusion that these things bring, the resistance. You're taking your power back from the matrix, from the shadow, from the darkness, and they don't want you to do that because then they have nothing because they chose to be a fallen. So these changes are bigger than one can fathom. A lot is being observed. A lot is being obscured by the shadow. I'm going to start all over. Because anytime you get a message from God, it's vast. There is great details that don't meet the eye, and it takes some time to process them. Trust me, it does. Okay? Changes are inbound. They are here. They are all around. Bigger than one can fathom. A lot is being obscured by the shadow, the veil of illusion. One must rise past, push past the illusion and the resistance to see it all in heaven's grace. Great reset of mankind goes beyond what meets the mind. This is true. It is indeed a battle of the soul. Soul warriors rise. One must be ready to rise because duality can no longer exist. Some people still don't even understand karma. And karma is everything you've done in every lifetime that took you away from the light of the one by giving your power to the shadow through temptations, through fear and ego. The shadow gets in our head and convinces us to do things and see things that are not true. And it can be very difficult to see beyond the illusion, to see beyond the confusion, the judgment, the fear, the ego, hoping that people love you and want to hear you, so we do things to fit in. And that's why people like me stand out. But we can't make changes if we're not willing to detach from what everybody expects us to do. We have to be true to our heart. We have to be true to love unconditional. And we have to be true that we have to understand that these things are all very strange. They're all beyond what we knew and what we understood as life. Now, if you are still with me, my journey began in 2019. I had a Kundalini awakening that was sudden, that I didn't ask for. I didn't even know what those were. And it changed my life in ways I didn't see coming. Not only did I start doing healings on others I have never seen done to this day, you're talking everything, the totality of a person traveling outside of my body in daytime. I could just come out and I see myself in spiritual form and I would go to them. They didn't have to come to me, and I could see them. I could see what free will allowed me to see, and I run the light in and I heal them in every way possible. I was doing things I didn't understand. I thought that was mind-blowing enough. Every nudge that came through, I followed it. I listened to God every time he said, do this, and it would come through the most gentle places, like my heart space and things like that. But I always listened. And I'm glad I did. Because if I didn't push past the illusion that said, ooh, that's crazy. What are you doing? Everybody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to love you now. If I didn't push past those and keep going, Christ wouldn't have returned. Because little did I see, after God nudged me to create Hertz music and then start workshops, I didn't even know what those were. Never been to one before. Was a psychologist, not a spiritual path. Well, I was a behavioral person, I should say. I was working in behavioral through my psychology degree at the time. So all of this was different. All of this was way different than what I was doing. Then I began doing things in the workshops. I knew I needed to record them. One, for my safety and protection, because people couldn't always receive, but two, also to give them to the people that came so that they didn't have to process everything at once, because it was a lot for me to process. Then things started happening. God told me to go do this and go do that. So I would. And one of the very first things that I did was raise Atlantis. I sat on Saturn and rose Atlantis with Hermes the god. And some of these paintings you're going to see behind me were part of my journey. Actually, all of these paintings you see behind me were part of my journey. This one right here was done by somebody else. And I talk about that a lot because I didn't even know when it was sent to me that it was going to be my journey. This is me, and my hair really is that long. And this person that did this never met me in person. Here was Saturn, and underneath Saturn is a depiction of what looks like an angel. But I actually sat on Saturn's rings, and we lassoed Atlantis, myself and Hermes the god. And there was a lot to that one. That was mind-blowing enough, and I was trying to figure out what was happening to me and what this meant, because I felt everything to the core. Everything affected me physically, spiritually, emotionally. It was intense. I even had a psych eval done because I was like, what is happening? I did. Turns out I wasn't crazy, so I was still trying to figure out what was happening. Like, what is happening? Why don't people see what I'm seeing? It gets deeper. Then I started clearing Mount Shasta. And then after that, God said, go to Fiji. And I'm like, what's Fiji? We couldn't figure that out. Then I went to Fiji, and I started healing Fiji and returning the root chakra back to Fiji and freeing all these souls from Mount Shasta. And I'm like, what is happening? Then I opened up the God portal. Then after that, I started activating pyramids. One was at Fiji. I'm like, what is that? And it was taking my light. It was taking my light to activate the pyramids. I didn't even know at the time they were feminine. And then eventually we had masculine ones too. I didn't know any of it. I didn't even know I was a twin flame at that time. Turns out I was. Then after I started activating pyramids, Jesus came into play. I processed his death, which was not what you think it was. And this was even before I undid the Holy Grail. After I processed Jesus' death, I started activating more pyramids. And then I started undoing darkness of the moon. And I was like, what? Everything was mind-blowing. And it took step by step to process it and understand what I was doing. And it took my light. So when I was activating pyramids, I became swollen at that time, and my heart became enlarged. Because I was giving that light, that Kundalini light, which was my life force, I was dropping it down and putting it into the pyramids, the feminine ones. And then a couple years later, we went into the masculine ones. But this is already a lot to understand. So after I processed Jesus' death, there was more. So I want to show you something. I'm going to share my screen with you now, and I just ask that you stay with me. Stay with me, hear what I'm saying, listen diligently to what was being said, because Jesus' soul was stolen. Jesus' soul was taken, and it took me a whole year to battle for it and to get it back. So I want you to listen to this. I'm going to share my screen with you. After I process his death, some other things happened in between, okay? And just stay with me. I know it's a lot to process. I know it's a lot to understand, but I really would like you to hear me because God says it's important at this time, okay? So stay with me. I'm hoping you can hear me clearly. Sometimes it's not clear if you can. So hopefully you can, okay? So this screen right here you're going to see is I undid the Holy Grail and united Jesus and Mary Magdalene on Christmas Day of 22, and I didn't see that coming either. And before I did that, I did some other things too. Today I'm going to show you some very important things about . Oop, hang on. Bear with me because I need to be able to get to these. Okay. So, do you remember me telling you, first of all, let's start here, that it's a great reset of mankind? Well, it is. And in the great reset of mankind, there are some things happening, okay? Let me keep editing this. You're going to be with me while I'm doing this. Da, da, da. Okay, so now you can see me too, hopefully, and the screen that I'm sharing. So let's listen to this really quick because this popped up recently. Now I know why, because God wanted me to talk about this. This popped up on my screen recently, and I didn't even know he did this video. I've talked many times about how De La Roca sees what I do right after I do it. He's very in tune. He does see a lot of the work that I do after I do it, okay? But this is a great reset. So let's just listen to this really quick, and then I'm going to show you some more about Jesus.
God is resetting our world right now. And your perception will dictate how the Great Reset affects your everyday life.
Okay, so that is true. Your perception will dictate how the Great Reset affects your everyday life. Okay, I'm also going to show you Horus return. But here is where I freed Jesus' soul. I processed his death. He didn't die how you think he did. And this was done before Christmas Day of 22. I think this one was done in 2021. I cleared Mount Shasta, part 1 here. Okay. Activated the pyramid in Fiji. Awakening the God portal. I'm just showing you where you can find these. These are the work that I was doing. And I didn't understand what I was doing at the time. It took everything I had. And I just kept following the nudges. I knew I had to do it. I knew it was urgent. I knew it was important. And no matter how painful it was, no matter how many people judged me, I kept going. And then somewhere in here, I started finding out that I was the twin flame, okay? And I didn't know that either. I didn't even believe in those. Then I started healing the sun, which will come into play even more later with Lake Titicaca and my life. And then I started undoing the darkness of the moon. This was only part 1 of it. There's many, many more in the path to righteousness. So not even all the work I did is on my YouTube channel. Most of it is in the path to righteousness, which was an honor to do. And that brings you back to God. Okay. That is your whole path home. It is the entirety of the work. There was a lot of darkness of the moon, actually. That I had to do. And I'm trying to hide this, and I'm not sure how. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the moon work started happening a few years ago. I started all of this in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. And I did some moon work before I activated all of the pyramids, okay? I also had to undo the false concept of time because we are rewinding. Time is being undone. We can no longer be duality anymore. So I'm going to show you really quick all of the Return of Christ work, but just a quick sneak peek at all of the moon healing really quick, okay? So this is the path to righteousness. God actually told me to put this together. The things that he didn't have me upload on YouTube when I was done, and I didn't see it coming. I did not. And he called it the path home, the path to righteousness. So I awaken you, hidden shadow work. I help you call back your power. Then we have to remove the matrix, major trauma releasing. It's all throughout, okay? You have to be able to accept all this Christ light and healing. I take you through every portal activation. But here is the releasing of the darkness of the moon. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And then there's more that come too. Okay. So it's like boom, boom, boom. These are 2 hours, 1 hour. It's a lot of work. And it took me years to do it. It took me 5 years to do all this work. And I, again, didn't understand it until it was done. Ascension portals, 2020, 2020, 2020. This was Indonesia, Myanmar, Machu Picchu, Budapest, Thailand. And all those came again up recently when I implemented them, because we are now rising. The time is now to rise. So in between all of that, I was activating the pyramids. Then the Sphinx came into play right here. Now that's relevant more than I knew at that time. Okay, it is a portal, and I'm going to show you why. That the first time I touched the Sphinx, I didn't know my relation to the Sphinx at the time. I didn't understand it, and I did that in 21. Then I activated dormant chakra systems. Then I undid the collective shadow. This was what like tied into like the Euphrates River type stuff, and there was major fallen angels, and I was being attacked the whole time. My twin flame journey came into play, and I almost died. And he did die. He didn't make it. I battled for a year for his soul, and I remember the day they gave me back that soul. Now let's watch this. This is really important. I want you to listen carefully, okay? At this time, you all that are here with me now today or in the future are being connected to the portal of time, okay? This is a massive cleansing and healing, and it will affect you no matter who you are. No matter whether you use this today or not at all, it's going to affect the entire planet. So you will see changes occur. Just so you know, a little context, this was Christmas Day of 22. I was supposed to go to my job at the crisis line, and Spirit said do a live on YouTube. So I did. This was actually a live that I did that day, and I didn't know why. Everything I do is channeled. Everything I talk about comes from Spirit, and so let's just listen. After today, especially within like the earth movement, big movement. That's what they're saying. So the bloodshed layer of Jesus is in the crystalline grid. Okay, for those who know, I changed the crystalline grid a few times to the masculine and feminine, and we brought down Jesus's blood before. We did. So I brought down the blood of Christ before my DM died, and before I did this on Christmas Day, and that one's right here, bringing down the blood of Christ, anointing portal of the Garden of Eden. Now the ones on YouTube, most of them, it's hard to heal in them. If you truly want to heal in them, you have to do the path. That's the importance of it. Okay, and these right here, we're bringing down the return of Christ light. Okay, so I did bring down the blood of Christ, and then it went into this. But what I talked about was that we are cleansing today the blood of Jesus, which I didn't know was coming. Has to do with the Holy Grail and Mary Magdalene. So what I see, what they're showing me right now, is she literally took his blood. She took his blood from his mouth, his hands, and his eyes. His mouth, his hands, and his eyes. Very relevant. And she put it all over this cup. And I have to tell you, I didn't know that. So remember, I processed Jesus's death probably 2 years prior to doing the one on Christmas Day. And I thought that was it. And his soul went into a flower at that time. And I didn't understand that either. But it's because my DM was not free. He was not able to take on that soul fragment at that time. And he does later in my videos. But when I processed Jesus's death, and I understand this is a lot, please stay with me. It's important for those that wish to rise, okay? Because the truth sets us free. But when I processed his death, John the Apostle poisoned him. And it took him 20 minutes to die, and he bled out of every orifice. And then his soul rose up and went into a flower in the Garden of Eden. And that's where that one stopped. I had to process his death, so I felt it all. It cried. It was very painful. I saw him eat the wine and eat the bread and drink the wine that John the Apostle gave him. And then that was pretty much where that one stopped. Okay? Now this was the second part of that, and it came in Christmas of 22 on Christmas Day. And didn't they say that Christmas was the day he was reborn? I don't know if so what I'm kind of seeing is she was possibly lied to, okay? She took it and put it on this cup, which is what they're calling the Holy Grail. And she gave it. So I would like to believe she didn't know how he was killed, okay? But this is what they're showing me. She gave it to John the Apostle, who is the one who poisoned him. I don't get the feeling she helped him poison him. I believe this was like after the fact. Like, I don't know what she was told. I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what was happening. I don't know. They're not showing me that part. But they are unequivocally showing me that Mary Magdalene took Jesus' blood when he was poisoned. He was not on the cross. He did not die for your sins. He was, again, poisoned by John the Apostle. You don't believe me? Wake up. That's all I can say. Watch all my videos, okay? I already did this with Jesus a while ago.
I want you guys to understand that I do come from love. I was feeling these things. I feel all of it, okay? So just bear with it. Please hear diligently.
There was no fucking cross. I can't say that enough. Like, it's a big deal. Because there's like, I don't want to say anger.
Even at that time, I didn't understand who I was still. So I want you to understand that I was feeling these things. I'm literally pure channeling at this time, and I was feeling them. And my DM was supposed to be with me, and he had died just a few months prior to this, and I got a walk-in DM. So it was a lot for me to process. So please understand that, and let's just listen.
Because there's never anger within God's energy. There isn't. It's a lower vibrational thing. But there is definitely despair there. There was dismay. That's the word they're using. It has to do with the Holy Grail. Mary Magdalene took the blood from his lips, his eyes, and his hands, because when he was poisoned, he bled out of every orifice. I felt it happen, okay? So the depictions they're giving you, some are accurate, some are not. And then in church, they feed you the blood and the bread that poisoned him, the wine and the bread. He ate them and drank them both. They both had poisoning in it because they didn't know which one he would take. He was so hungry, he took them both. And here's the thing, is Jesus kind of knew something was wrong. He knew something was wrong. So I don't know what happened with Mary Magdalene, but what I'm kind of seeing is like a meeting, like they're talking. She's devastated. She was absolutely devastated. So when your twin flame dies and you're connected, it's like a piece of your soul dies, okay? And I don't know exactly what happened. I don't want to say that she helped poison him. I can't believe that. Like that would be devastating to me. But she did do something with the blood, and she did do something with the Holy Grail, and then I do believe she helped John the Apostle benefit from it. Okay? So there is major bloodshed within it. Major bloodshed within the collective soul. And this is absolutely Christmas the Resurrection. So I'm going to read what was channeled. Wait till you guys hear this, okay? Again, I was supposed to be doing this with my twin flame. He's being bypassed. It's not a joke where there's things for him to do. It's nothing to take lightly. It's to take seriously. My DM died. Let's not forget that, okay?
Keep in mind, this was 3 months after my DM died. The day I got a walk-in was August 30th of 22. So about four months, sorry. August, September, October, November, December. So it was 4 months after my DM died, and my new DM was supposed to be here. And it was a lot. And so I meant no harm. I meant nothing outside of love. This was painful. So these are a blessing, but I need you guys to understand is they were very painful for me to do, because it took everything I've had physically. And you can see me change over the years too, from the beginning of this channel to after I did the work. So I love my DM. I know he has a lot of weight to carry, and he did keep rising, because that's why Horus was able to return. So this video is going to be a lot, but just please stay with me because God wants me to do this.
Let's not forget that. So, this is what they said. Allow the crown games to begin. What is done in the light can't be done in the darkness. I have to repeat that. Allow the crown games to begin. What is done in the light, oh, the chills, can't be done in the darkness. What is done in the darkness will not flow into the light. Oh. We are not equal parts darkness and light. We are not.
No.
We are filled only with heavenly pure light. It is balance only of masculine and feminine, which is what has been off.
Yes.
There is and can only be masculine and feminine. There is no deviations of the such. Allow the crown games to begin. We are now opening up the energy of the One, the Holy One, from the heavens above, beginning to come down. This will not affect all of you. It cannot come directly from that. It's going to filter through the pyramidal flow. So the light from the heavens above, from the Creator, is coming down through the pyramids that I've activated in Fiji, Myanmar, Budapest, Thailand, Machu Picchu, and Lake Titicaca, my pyramid. Okay, the light is coming down through those. And remember I said at Lake Titicaca there was like this weird lava flow coming down, okay? Now this Christ light is coming through those and all the way through those and into the crystalline grid. Holy hell, forgive me. So I'm starting to get some images. The crystalline grid. I'm back in like medieval time. It looks like further. Baik kita angko po ito ay kita ko po kita ambo ko ay kita ay ka ambo ko kita ambo ay kita ka pa. Okay, they're giving me a scroll. I'm getting a scroll from Jesus, from Lord Sananda. This is the one that was given to me the other day. I get to
Scrolls have been relevant throughout my journey. They give me scrolls and then I read from them when I do the work. So that's what that is. And remember, I brought down the blood of Christ just prior to doing this, probably a few months ahead. I don't remember exact date. You'd have to watch it. Just to explain what I'm doing here, it's the language of God. I become a pure channel and things just come through me. And the way I receive it is through the language of God. And then I process out what I did and what was just said and what is being done. And I use my light, my energy, my life force to do all of this work. And not only that, it truly is my soul. And so it actually hurts. It was a battle of my life. And my original DM didn't make it. He took off with a fallen when our souls aligned a year prior to this event. And I spent a whole year battling that darkness and being attacked. My solar plexus was blown out like God knows how many times. The people that were rising with me, Amy, is one of them. And she actually had to help save my life at that time. I called on her. And that is when the Light Healers Academy that I do was born, is because God told me to teach her how to heal me. And so I was teaching her how to heal. And the next thing I know, I had to call her in the middle of the night and say, please help me, because the darkness attacked me so bad. And my DM could not pull out of it. He chose through free will, but he still couldn't see clearly. He was blocking the ascension, and God said enough. Gave him another little bit of time, and he chose not to come. And I literally did get a walk-in. You can watch that. It was quite a beautiful, painful experience. And then after this video, we started activating the masculine pyramids. So the first part of the pyramids were feminine, which led me to this. So Jesus's soul was captured. That's why they depict him on a cross, because they broke the Ankh. Okay, so let's listen to this very carefully, because you're just about to watch me undo the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail was not a cup. That's what they tell you, though, because they give you little bits of truth amongst all of the lies they feed you. So let's listen. I understand you guys don't understand what I'm doing there. Believe it or not, I didn't either when I first started doing this stuff. It was like light language, and it would blow my mind, and I would think I was crazy. But as I'm doing this, I'm reading these scrolls. I'm getting light language of God, and I'm speaking it. I'm speaking as an open channel. I'm literally just
a vessel of light in these moments, and God is working through me. And that's what I'm doing here, okay? I'm just literally letting the work come through me. So just hang tight. So I'm seeing a lot of things as I'm saying what I'm saying. I know it doesn't make sense, but you can feel it in your heart, trust me. And I'm seeing the things play out as I'm saying what I'm saying. So you can feel it in your heart if you have the ability to receive the light. Okay? Not everybody will. Not everybody can feel it or see it because their shadow is too blinding. All right? Karma, the shadow, blinds you. So just understand that. You have to have karmic contract alignment, hidden shadow elimination, being able to accept light codes and ascension activations. Okay? So no, not everybody can understand this. And I don't expect everybody to because it's a lot, but God wants me to put this out there. This has been my journey since 2019. My whole life has changed, and I can't deny it if I tried, and there's no way I could make it up. There's no way. Because I wasn't religious. I'm not a religious buff. I don't believe in religion. Never did, and now I know why I really don't. It's amazing. Just watch. I'm opening all this energy of the earth, and it's taken me back to that time. Back to the time when Jesus was here. And Mary Magdalene, and that is his twin flame. His twin. Forgive me because I'm seeing the divide of the. I'm not separate from this. I'm not processing it for somebody else. I need you guys to understand that what I'm feeling right now is my soul, and it's painful. Something came down and divided their soul, okay? And she did unwillingly, unknowingly participated in the bloodshed of the one, which caused a huge divide. I thought it was just me and Adam and Eve, but it was not. This is part of that story, okay? That's what I mean. If you think you know it all, you do not. So what I just said is Jesus is not just Jesus. It started with Adam and Eve. And then from that, it was a fragment trying to come back to the whole. Horus, Jesus, and Adam are the same soul. Eve, Mary, and Sekhmet are the same soul. And this is true, okay? I didn't know it either until I did the work. So again, activating pyramids, clearing darkness, undoing the false concept of the moon. The Sphinx came into play. And then after we did this, my DM kept rising with me. We started activating the masculine pyramids, not just the feminine now. And then Sekhmet returned. Then I undid Mount Shasta Part 2, which is where Archangel Samael burned. I undid more false concept of time. Okay. And then, lo and behold, my DM aligned enough that Jesus united the soul fragment with him. Okay, because at first when I processed his death, he wasn't able to until my new DM came into play and started rising. And he did unite with that fragment of the soul. Okay, and then after I did Sekhmet and took us through the Nile portal, it's a lot. On the 23rd of June, Jesus united with my DM, undid more darkness of the soul, processed God's earth, reset the equilibrium north, east, and south, and west, and connected the west back to the north. Final removal of time. Then I got a download of why not everybody was going to ascend, what Revelations 21, 12, and 13 represented with the work that I was doing and what was happening. Why snakes were relevant in my journey, because they really were, and they came in again recently with the Eve and Adam timeline. Then Horus returned, and I'm going to show you that next. You do not. So I see people, there's like an argument there.
Listen again, very carefully.
Forgive me because I'm seeing the divide of something came down and divided their soul, okay? And she did unwillingly, unknowingly participated in the bloodshed of the one, which caused a huge divide. I thought it was just me and Adam and Eve, but it was not. This is part of that story, okay? That's what I mean. If you think you know it all, you do not. You do not. So I see people, there's like an argument, there's like almost like a war going on. And it's one that they don't talk about very often. So there's a major division going on. And Jesus at the time kept trying to speak his truth. And he was basically being tortured, okay? And they were manipulating Mary Magdalene. It absolutely was the case. Oh my gosh, like they made her afraid. She was very afraid. She was very afraid. It was like this fear rising from the core of the earth. I'm gonna throw up.
I was feeling this. My soul was processing this. I'm not just somebody channeling this through. This was me processing this and undoing it through my soul.
So what you guys don't see, maybe you do, I don't know, but while I do that, I see like this big dark shadow. And as I was saying that, the shadow like came out, and it like came out above, and it's like, and so it's literally like this darkness, like this black mass, and it's hovering over all of us. That's not a joke, and that's what I'm doing when I'm saying this. It's like I'm purging the shadow. I am purging the shadow.
This also goes in line with undoing the collective shadow. It's like phases, okay? There was a fall of the false goddess. So Adam fell for a false goddess, and I didn't even know Adam and Eve were coming in yet. Everybody's just expecting Jesus. So even I didn't know. I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what was happening. But if you go back and watch the undoing the collective shadow, and then this one, it all makes sense when you watch the totality of what I've done. And I know it's a lot. Please stay with me.
It is time to remove the darkest of night. It is time to flood this space with healing heavenly light. It is time to unite the souls of Lord Sananda and Mary Magdalene. It is time to unite the twin flame flight. It is time to unite in light and love, and it is time to return to Christ.
So have you not understood that we can't be duality anymore? We can no longer bring the light into the darkness, and we can no longer use the darkness and the light anymore. So you must heal all your karma now. That's why in this, you have to align. There was a big shadow in the spiritual community that was actually cutting and burning contracts. And I still see people do it to this day. Cutting cords to karmic ties. You don't want to do that. You have to align with that. That's why the path to righteousness is priceless.
It is time to shed light into the darkest parts of the shadow soul.
See, that's what you're not understanding is I'm reading the scroll, I'm doing the work, it's coming through me, and I see these things as I'm speaking this language. But this language is God's language, and when you do the healing in your heart, you can actually open up to it. And no matter how awake you think you are,
the path will awaken you more. All of this is the return of Christ, where it's all of it. Hidden shadow components. You guys, it's all of it. Calling back your power, because that's what we've done. We've given our power away to judgment, to fear, to ego, to money. Money became more important than love. And people laughed too at one time and were like, oh, you're charging for this? God told me to. Because it's not about money. If somebody wanted to do it and they couldn't afford it and they told me what they could afford, I'd work with them. It's not about money. It's just because money's not more important. We have to rise. True abundance will be in the new earth. Okay, it no longer can be in the matrix. For those who don't know, that is light language of the gods, and I'm getting a scroll. So Lord Sananda is handing me a scroll, and I'm shaking. This is like taking my energy. It's taking my breath away. There's a lot going on. I see like this fight. I see like this battle, and I see like these lies being shed. And it was an attack on Mary Magdalene. It was an attack on Jesus as well. It was not a pretty death. It was, I cannot repeat that enough. He did not die for your sins. They fucking murdered him. Okay? Excuse my F word. It was painful. They tell you Jesus died for your sins. They tell you God sent down his only son to die for you. And that is not the truth. The shadow got mankind to kill him. And they used his own twin soul to help. And this is what I spent a year battling for. Who I am, my twin soul, twin flame. This is just the playlist, but if you look in my channel, you will see the battle of my twin soul and I play out. You have to look on the channel, not just the playlist. Go back to that time frame, 2020, 2021, and into 2022. And I was battling for my twin soul. Info about the attack on my soulmate and myself. Being attacked, and oh my God, it's clear now. My love for you is deeper than the deep blue sea, and I didn't know what that meant at the time. So one of the signs of the return of Christ is we battle the red dragon, which is true. That's like the sixth gate of ascension. And then I battled the deep blue sea, which is El Diablo, and I didn't get that at the time, but it was just coming through me. Red Sea, the red dragon was Mount Shasta. The deep blue sea was this. And then somehow they got Mary Magdalene to take his blood and to give it for the wrong purpose. For the wrong purpose. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts really badly. It hurts really badly. Like, it hurts. I can feel like the tear between the soul. Okay, I can feel it. It's like ripping right down their soul, and it's a division you don't want to feel. You don't want to feel it. You don't want to feel it. Oh, it hurts. And then I see Mary, and she's just crying, and his blood is all over her. This was my life. That was my life. So you guys understand, it hurt really, really bad because it was my soul. When I feel the ripping, I'm processing what happened, and I'm about to bring it back together. So just keep watching. She's like crying. She's soaked in it. I'm sorry, but she like covered herself in his blood, this holy grail. And then John knew that he had the healing powers of Christ. John the Apostle did it to take the healing powers of Christ. That's why Jesus died. Because he followed the fallen angel. And even in the Bible, they give you pieces of truth, right? They said John followed the angels, and Jesus had told him, don't do that. Only God should be followed. The angels are fallible. And the original fallen angel was Samael.
And that's who John was following. And they got John to do this. They forced Mary Magdalene to take part. So they lied. And the reason they tell you is he died for your sins so that you don't clear your karma. Because if you heal your karma, they no longer have power over you. And you can be free. And you rise to new earth, which now is the time to rise. The great reset is now. We're not waiting anymore. We are literally in the karmic play out. That's the return of Christ, is you reap what you sow. Let's listen. I'm going to rewind just slightly. I know it's a lot. Just bear with me.
And to give it for the wrong purpose.
So they got Mary to take his blood and give it for the wrong purpose. And it hurt me.
It hurts. It hurts. It hurts really badly. It hurts really badly. Like, it hurts. I can feel like the tear between the soul. Okay, I can feel it. It's like ripping right down their soul, and it's a division you don't want to feel. You don't want to feel it. You don't want to feel it. Oh, it hurts. And then I see Mary, she's just crying, and his blood is all over her.
She was covered in his blood. Like, I mean covered. Like horror film status. I can still feel it when I watch this.
She's like crying. Oh, she's soaked in it. I'm sorry, but she like covered herself in his blood, this holy grail. And then John knew that he had the healing powers of...
I don't know why it skipped out, but it was John the Apostle. This was done live on Christmas Day on this channel, on YouTube.
Christ. So they murdered him, divided the twin flame souls, and took more power.
That's what it was about. They stole his soul, and they took his power. Mount Shasta is the veil of illusion. It kept you all outside of the truth and wrapped in shadow and karmic play out. That was not God.
And that is what happened. And then he was burned.
Did you hear that? So after they did that with Mary, took his blood, wait till you hear what the Holy Grail really was. They burned him.
Powers of Christ. So they murdered him, divided the twin flame souls, and took more power. And that is what happened. And then he was burned.
They burned him, and the reason I'm crying is I smell his flesh and everything. I feel it as my soul is burning.
I feel like I'm burning.
Sorry about the camera quality.
It's painful. I feel like I'm burning. And she watched him burn, and she didn't live long after. It was not a full lifetime. She couldn't. That was her twin soul. That was her twin flame. And I could feel the rip. I could feel the tear. I could feel the burning flesh.
It's true. I felt it all.
And this shadow. It was near the Euphrates River. I'm close to there. I don't know where I am, but I'm over there. Like I can see the dirt. It's like red, like a red clay dirt. And there's something with that. There's something with the tunnels. And hang on.
I told you, Euphrates River. So when you go back to this one too, it's also the same energy.
So I'm going to take a step back and gather myself because I can't breathe. And for those of you who are here, the angels are opening up your chakras. Okay, so we're drawing the light from the heavens above and we're opening up your chakras.
I just said, I'm near the Euphrates River. I can see it. I could see it. I could feel it. I could smell it. There's relevance to that. And remember, they give you pieces of truth so that you believe all the poison they feed and give you.
It's going down into your crown, into your third eye, into your throat, into your chest, down into your solar plexus, into your navel, into your sacral, and into your root, down your arms and down your legs. And we're going to bring these cord connections into the crystalline grid. So they're going all the way down into the earth. Everybody's being disconnected from the energy of the core. Nobody can ground there at this time because it's about to expand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the core and we're going to remove all the negative bloodshed and then something with the shadow, and then I will do the Ho'oponopono prayer. And I am reuniting Mary Magdalene and Jesus' soul. They've only been half what they are since that division. And I feel like I'm going to throw up, so bear with me. So just know that this light is running down your system. All of your chakras are being opened because you are going to purge that piece of the shadow as well, the bloodshed. You are going to be purging the bloodshed. I don't care if you've gone to church. It doesn't matter what you've done. Do not go into judgment. Let that shit go, please, or it will bite you. This is not a place to have judgment. That is a division, and that is not of the light. I can't repeat that enough. That is a warning. That is a warning, and you should heed it as so, okay? Don't go into judgment. Just be open. Just be open. I don't care if you believe it. Just be here. Just witness. Just be open, okay? For those that are ready, we'll be getting DNA activations as well by the angels as I do the work. You will be, for some of you, especially in the future, you will be detached from the third dimension and reattached to the fifth and seventh dimensional grid, okay?
I just said seventh dimensional grid in there. I'm not sure I knew I was taking us into 7D yet. Let me see. I may not have. So this was purely being channeled. I undid the chakra system. I reactivated it. But I don't think I took us into 7D until later. In January of 23 is when I took us into 7D. So I just realized that I said that in here. That was to come. It hadn't been done yet. We were supposed to go in 5D, and instead I took us into 7D, and I didn't know it was coming. I'm pure channeling.
So some of you who will be watching this video are not even ascending yet. Like, you haven't even detached from the third dimensional matrix. You will do that. Whatever is for you, you will have happen for you today. You do not have to be a twin flame. This will affect the entire collective whole. This will affect you if you're open to receive.
Keep watching, because I haven't undone the Holy Grail yet.
Okay. So you will get Christ light activations. You will get DNA activations. You will get detached and attached, and your ego will start to heal. Whatever is for you, wherever you're at, you will get that today. Okay, by participating and witnessing, and it will affect you either way. Okay, so I'm already being taken back in. So I just wanted you guys to know that. Just know that you're also going to be connected. You are connecting to all the pyramidal grid that I have activated. It is very powerful. So if you haven't had an awakening, even if you have, you are going into the next level. Okay, this is not a joke. This is very big, and this is going to change the world. This is the resurrection of the complete resurrection of Christ, which my twin flame and I were supposed to do. I can't reiterate that enough. That is being written in the Akasha records, and he will have tower moments probably in play. Okay, so temporarily they are bringing the blue light into me from the crystalline grid, not from my DM.
So I understand that you guys, have a hard time believing beyond what is seen. Some people do. And just because you don't see the DM next to me, he's there. My soul feels it. When my DM died and I had to carry that blue light is when I really swelled up. So my physical vessel speaks loudly to what I've been through. I have felt the pain. The battle played out on my channel over a whole entire years or more time. These are things I couldn't make up. And if I'm deemed crazy, that's the easy way out, because let me tell you, my friend, I couldn't make these things up if I was cray cray. Okay, I'd have to be a genius beyond a genius beyond a genius. And I'm just me. Okay, so this was my soul, and it was extremely painful. And I almost died about 3 times, and my DM did die. My arm was attacked and shattered. Like, they did everything they could to try to stop me, and I didn't stop. And my new DM had a lot of weight to carry. This was not his original journey. So there is no blame, there is no shame, there is only love. And you have to be able to see beyond the illusionary play out and beyond the resistance, beyond the shadow, beyond your karma, and beyond what meets the eye.
Okay, so I will have both blue light and pink light, the masculine and feminine.
I'm about to undo
because
the Holy
I'm
Grail.
going to start to repair the twin souls of Mary Magdalene and Lord Sananda, or Jesus, as he was known. He was known as Jesus at that time. So we will be repairing their twin flame connection, reuniting their soul as I'm drawing the blood out of the earth, which has to do with the Euphrates River. All of this happened near there. I can't reiterate that enough. I can't reiterate that enough. I feel like that's where I'm at. Okay? And it's like this red dirt.
The red dragon.
Somewhere over there. I don't know. That's all I know. I know.
The red dragon came in a couple times, but when I implemented the 13 gates recently, it was the mind, the power of the mind, the portal of the mind. The red dragon came in for that. The deep blue sea, El Diablo, it's all that energy. There was at least 3 fallen angels.
Shit about geography, so please, I don't study this outside. I'm telling you what Spirit is bringing through me. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know the Bible. I still don't know the Bible. I guess somebody actually told me later that Mary Magdalene was not depicted as his twin soul. She was depicted as like a prostitute or something in Catholicism, I think it was, is what they told me. I had no idea. And after this, her soul fragment came back to me. So those that rose with me were witness to that.
So I have the scroll I have not read from yet. If you can just breathe, you will be receiving whatever is for you. Like I said, you will be being detached and reattached. You will be activating through the crystalline grid, which was filled with masculine and feminine light. Remember what the channeled message was? I don't remember at this time because it was completely channeled, but it had to do with Crown Games Begin. Okay.
You cannot carry darkness into the light. You cannot be duality anymore. If you do not want to heal it all and rise above and choose to see into unconditional love, you cannot rise. And just like I told you,
God is resetting our world right now. And your perception will dictate how the Great Reset affects your everyday life.
let's watch the undoing of the Holy Grail now.
Okay. Bringing back the rightful crown of the earth. And this is a big deal. This is not a little deal. Okay, this is Judgment Day set in stone. Boom. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, when I freed Jesus' soul, I had to go rip a soul out of somebody else, and that did have to deal with John the Apostle.
Oh, I forgot I said that. So when I rebirthed, when I processed Jesus's death, you guys, when I processed Jesus's death years before this happened, that night something happened to me. I found myself over somebody, and I literally pulled their soul out from their face, and I freaked out. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who it was. I pulled their soul out from their face. So what you guys don't realize is Jesus's soul was stolen, and I battled for it. It was my twin soul. It was a battle for my life. Attack on the DM, battle of my lifetime. I choose love. I choose love. And my DM, unfortunately, did not all the way, and he didn't make it. I got a walk in August 30th. Okay. So this is full processing for me again. Let me hear that just one more time, because
receiving whatever is for you. Like I said, you will be being detached and reattached. You will be activating through the crystalline grid, which was filled with masculine and feminine light. Remember what the channeled message was? I don't remember at this time because it was completely channeled, but it had to do with crown games begin. Okay? Bringing back the rightful crown of the earth. And this is a big deal. This is not a little deal. Okay? This is Judgment Day set in stone. Oh, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, when I freed Jesus' soul, I had to go rip a soul out of somebody else, and that did have to deal with John the Apostle. So I am standing at the portal of time. I am standing at the portal of time.
Listen carefully.
I am Lord Sananda. I am Lord Sananda. I am Lord Sananda. I have been here the whole time. I cannot go away. I will not go away. There was pain. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and I thank you. For I am Lord Sananda. I am Lord Sananda. And I am reclaiming my space. We are reclaiming our space. We get going to get tired or walk a tie out of you to a tiger to walk it on. So I have a boy get you go get I could on that a pine get tank we get the walk I get on one tail to walk it I look at that. I'm showing you what he's doing. I still feel him, but he has a staff and he's like sticking it down into the earth. He's sticking it down into the earth, and it's causing the earth to go and open up. The earth is shaking. The earth is moving. This is near the Euphrates River. I don't know exactly where. That's what I keep hearing is Euphrates. And he's like, it's this staff, and it almost has like a clear crystal on the top of it. And he sticks it down into the earth, and I am opening up the earth. I am opening up the earth. I am opening up the earth. And I am going to call back all of my blood.
I'm calling back all my blood. That's what I just said. Now, right before I did this, I actually brought down his blood into the earth. There's a reason I did everything I did, and I didn't understand it then because I was doing it. It was happening through me, but I do now. There's no way the world will remain the same. Do not fall into the illusion that you can remain in karma, that you can remain wounded and stay here. You will fall with the fallen, or you will have to leave. We cannot remain duality. I'm about to undo the Holy Grail.
Tatanka is doing something. Jesus is calling back his blood. So he's got his staff and it's going down into the earth. And I know I keep channeling back and forth. Just bear with me. And he's starting to draw through the core, you guys. The core is opening up. It's not a joke. The earth is spreading open. It's like, it's moving. Like, it's freaking moving. And as this is happening, that shadow is like screaming. Like, I can hear
That shadow doing that happened again and again. Again and again. And then it happened again just recently when I was birthing the new earth. On day 1 of new earth creation, my soul fully united with my DM, and that was the Adam and Eve. Then God took our feet, put it into the core of the earth, and the division was complete. You cannot take darkness into the light anymore. And all I could see was that like lava darkness, like this lava fire monster, and he was screaming at me through the veil. That happens many times.
Like screeching, screaming, and wailing. And every time I do like the words, it opens it up and it's calling back the blood. It's calling back the blood, the truth, the blood, the truth, the blood, the truth. And then I see some writing. Some writing was written in his fucking blood. Excuse my language. That makes me angry, but I'm human. I have to heal that. I let that go. I let that go. There is some writing written in his blood. It's writing written in his. They signed a contract in his. There's like this thing and
Listen carefully. I know it's hard.
Has to do with Mary Magdalene, and Jesus is on the ground bleeding. You guys, the Holy Grail is not a fucking cup. It's this contract, and I don't know what this contract is. I don't know what it says. It's this contract, and it's written in his blood. He literally took his blood and he wrote it. I don't know. Sorry, this is really hard. It was like written in his blood, but I think it's written in like Hebrew or something. John the Apostle and 4 other people, and Mary Magdalene is there, and she's covered in his blood, and they're writing some contract written in Jesus' blood. It's not a cup. It's not a cup. I repeat, it's not a cup. It's some cup, and it really exists. It's out there.
Listen. The contract. When I cleared Mount Shasta Part 1, I undid a contract. When I cleared Mount Shasta Part 2, I undid a contract. They burn. These are the contracts of darkness. They stole the power of the light. They stole Jesus' soul this way. And they enslaved all of mankind to the light of God. So if you think this karmic playout isn't big, you are wrong. If you think that mankind created that storm, you are wrong. This storm that recently just occurred is because everything's been undone and the world is shifting. And you either shift with it and release all darkness, or you can't rise.
So what I see is Jesus is standing up. It's like he just stood up from his body. And I see the contract, and at the bottom of the contract, it's like they carved out this little thing, and the blood is just flowing down, and that's how they're doing it. All the blood is flowing down off the contract, and it's being resurrected at this time. This is not a joke. This is not a fucking joke.
That is the resurrection. This is the resurrection right in front of your eyes. This is it. And I did it on Christmas Day, and it was my soul. I felt it. That's why I'm crying, and it's taking my breath away, and it was so painful, and I felt him burn, and when he died, I felt the poisoning. When the blood is on Mary, I was covered in her blood. It was overwhelming, to say the least, and I still feel it to this day. So as I was saying the light language, the scroll was undoing what they wrote in his blood, and it was causing all of his blood to start to drip off that contract. That is the resurrection. Let's listen.
All the blood off this contract is being called back and resurrected at this time, and it's flowing down off of this contract. The Holy Grail is not a cup. The Holy Grail is this contract. I don't know where it is. It exists in somewhere. It's like in this thing somewhere. It's like in this case or something somewhere. Somebody's well aware of this. It's protected. And I'm like clearing all the blood out of flowing down through that and down into the core of the earth. So it's flowing from that contract and it's being pure, being cleansed. And it's flowing down into the earth, and it will go back into the crystalline grid and then back into Jesus and all of you. Every single person who's of the light will.
Who's of the light. You cannot be duality. If you don't want to heal and you don't want to heal your karma and you don't want to push past it, you have to heal it. That's why God ordered recently that nobody was choosing the light, and he ordered a great reset of mankind, bigger than was originally planned. And now only pure love will rise, because we are now currently in the karmic demise. We are now currently rising through the portals that I just placed. I just implemented all the work that I did.
Will get this today. If they're alive, they are receiving it today. The blood is flowing, so it's flowing from whatever was written, and it's written in like Hebrew. It takes his power away. It's like giving up ownership of the earth.
Giving up ownership of the earth. This earth belongs to Adam and Eve. Jesus is Adam. Mary was Eve. We're just fragmented. We kept coming back, but they don't want you to remember Adam and Eve. And was Sekhmet and Horus as well. My DM took on the soul of Horus, the soul of Jesus. I took on Eve, Sekhmet, and Mary. Adam and Eve come into play recently because we are now, that's the beginning of time. So I took us back through all the darkness to the beginning of time. God shifted plans. Portal to Nile is now, meaning we are rising now. You are either pure or you are not. You will rise to where your shadow takes you, and that is it. That's why you cannot have your shadow. We cannot be duality anymore, and that's what I'm trying to show you guys. This one, day one of birthing the new earth, just occurred recently, about a month ago. God had me do it after he said enough. And he put my DM and I completely came together, and I felt it. And then the new earth was born. So just like I just said, let's listen to that again.
Every single person who's of the light will get this today.
Of the light. You have to be pure light. You cannot be mixed.
If they're alive, they are receiving it too.
And everybody here had shadow and karma to heal. This is every lifetime, not just this one, because it's a great reset. So even if this time you don't think you do, it could be other lifetimes that you did. If you were ever called to the path and you hesitated, it's because there was something very big for you to do. And that hesitation didn't want you to. The resistance, the shadow.
Today. The blood is flowing, so it's flowing from whatever was written, and it's written in like Hebrew. It takes his power away. It's like giving up ownership of the earth.
That was the contract. It took Jesus's power away. It gave up ownership of the earth.
And the blood is just flowing. I can't repeat the words. I cannot. They're not written in light. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? They're not written in light, and I will not allow them to come out of my mouth. It is coming off of the Holy Grail is not a cup. It is this paper. It's not even exactly like our paper, okay? But it's written in blood on it, and it's now flowing down word for word for word. It's like almost he took his finger and he wrote this out, and Mary Magdalene is giving him the blood, and he's writing it out, and Mary Magdalene is giving him the blood, and he's writing it out, and all of that is being undone. And as I'm undoing that, Lord Sananda, or Jesus, and Mary Magdalene's soul is starting to come back together. It's starting to come back together. You all are getting activations from my pyramid in Lake Titicaca, which is the Earth's sacral chakra, just so you know.
I built a pyramid in Lake Titicaca during this work. That is where I was reborn. That is where I died in Atlantis.
Jesus and Mary Magdalene are beginning to come together. Once the blood is completely off that contract and back into the crystalline grid and back into all of our flow, I will do the Ho'oponopono prayer and the finality and heal them back together. Do you understand? That's what's happening. The scroll I have is only halfway through. We're pulling down the blood from this contract. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences down now. And it just keeps pulling the blood down and it's flowing down into the crystal.
So that Hebrew contract, which is what they called the Holy Grail, stole the power of the light, enslaved mankind, stole the power of the earth. They manipulated the moon and the sun, which are real, Sekhmet and Horus. And so, with time not existent, put every lifetime together. Adam and Eve, Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and Sekhmet and Horus. That is who we are. That's the return of Christ. Because it was all of those lifetimes. And the first one I did was Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Then I did Sekhmet and Horus, which is right here. Horus returns, and that soul went into my DM. And the Nile, Sekhmet came right before that one. That's when I activated Ecuador, the masculine pyramid. They told me who I was. I was Sekhmet as well. And I was just processing still that Mary came back to me. And that was a lot. Then after that came Adam and Eve and birthing the new earth. And we are now fully aligned.
Grid. As it's coming off of this contract, I can hear whatever this fucking dark thing is going like it can't. It's almost like it's being blocked, but it's there. It's like there. It wants to stop me. I can hear it. It's like screeching. And this absolutely unequivocally has to do with the Euphrates River. I can't repeat that enough, and I didn't see that coming either. I don't even know who's watching. I'm not looking. Just know that I'm channeling this with my eyes closed, and it is nuts. Welcome to my world. This is who I am. I can't make this shit up if I try. Trust me. I know nothing about this stuff. I did know there was a cup, but the cup is not the Holy Grail. That was a falsehood. Okay, so they would tell you some truth spewed. Okay, but the rest was lied. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because what did that paper say? What is done in the darkness cannot be done in the light, and what is done in the light will not be allowed to flow in with the darkness. Okay? My forehead is tingling really badly. My forehead is tingling, so I'm seeing all the twin flames connections. They're glowing. They're all being called in at this time. They're all filled with Christ's light, and they're glowing. They're united energetically. They are united energetically. Remember, I have both parts for this purpose only today because my DM is not here, and he should be. They're not allowing him to participate because he's missed a mark. I can't make that up. He's very well aware of that. But, like, they're calling it through. So it's taking all of the twin flame connections and that healing of all that karma that we've already done, and I'm mending Mary Magdalene and Jesus' soul back together. So we're about at their ankles at this point. So like the connections of cords would come back together, and now we're bringing the soul back together. And I've got about 3 sentences left. The blood that I'm cleansing off of the Holy Grail. The real Holy Grail is this signed contract with this blood written on it, and I had no idea. Welcome to Christ Mass. This is the true resurrection of Christ on Christmas Day. No wonder I've gone through what I went through these last few days.
Oh yeah, by the way, there was like a big push for me not to do this that day. Big.
Okay. And now I'm going to read the rest of this scroll. Now hear me. This will cause big shifts in the collective whole. This is causing the earth to move in a very big way. It will unequivocally, undoubtedly, undubiously play out in your collective soul, in your collective environment, and the earth will correct the damage done on this day.
The earth will correct the damage done on this day. So that hurricane, God is saying it's about to really unfold. You haven't seen anything yet. Because not only did I do this stuff, I shifted the poles. We turned them from north and south to east and west. I recalibrated. I healed the northeast, south, and the west, and I healed it back to the north. So it's a complete Christ light flow.
I undid the crystalline grid. This is beyond what you guys know. Now, ever since this video, Israel has gone into war. The whole world is falling apart. There's been 2 assassination attempts on Trump, which I've talked about. I've put up protections on him. I've talked about who the Obamas really are. I've talked about all of it. I told you they were going to have at least 3 attempts on Trump as well prior. I also told you what happened to the submersible, and then it was proven what happened to it. So God's been showing you the whole time who I am. But those who choose to see beyond the illusion are the ones who choose to be free. The ones who choose to rise and actually love the one that brought it about. When you have pure love for the one, a lot of darkness is undone. Because that's what happened. They went against God. They took the power and the light and the power of the earth. So now, just like I said, the earth is going to correct herself. And I have said that through every pyramid activation. I've talked about fires. I've said that when the light comes in, what doesn't align will burn. And you're watching that start to play out now because we are now rising. There's no time left. It's now.
Okay. And now I'm going to read the rest of this scroll. Now hear me. This will cause big shifts in the collective whole. This is causing the earth to move in a very big way. It will unequivocally, undoubtedly, undubiously play out in your collective soul, in your collective environment, and the earth will correct the damage done on this day. Boy, get down, boy, get down, go by, get down, get down, go, boy, get down, get down, go, don't go, walk it down, get down, don't go, walk it down, don't go, walk it down, don't go, walk it down, get down, get down, get down, walk it down, get down. I'm reading the scroll of book. I get down, get down, go, boy, get down, go, boy, get down, go, boy, get down, walk it down, walk it down, go, walk. I have literally just positioned the gods amongst the planet. That dark shadow is like this. And then I want you to imagine all of the gods are surrounding Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and this contract, and me. And then it's all the gods, and that dark shadow is pissed off. Like,
the gods are relevant. Fiji was the god portal that I opened and activated. When God married my DM and I, they said the return of gods is the return of Christ, the return of all the gods. We are gods of time. The return of Christ, the return of the gods. Okay? When I birthed the new earth, that is what I talked about. The gods are making sure that those who can't rise do not. All 12 gates of darkness were closed, and all 13 of light were opened. And this is the great reset of mankind. The gods are all here playing out. So everything you see now is of the gods. This is the return of Christ. This is karmic play out.
It's, guys, I can't reiterate this enough, and I keep hearing the screaming, but it cannot attack. It cannot get back in because of all the work that I've done. There is a protective bubble. All the twin flames are being called in energetic.
When my DM died and I got a walk-in DM, the dome healed. The dome of light was complete. It went because my new DM had a pure heart. I just wish he loved me now. I don't know where he is. We have fully united. But, and I would assume he does love me. I just haven't felt his love lately. But when my DM died and we got to walk in, because the shadow's always trying to stop that, trust me. They don't want us united. They didn't want us whole. This was a battle to get here. It is truly a battle for your soul. If you think it's going to be easy and just given to you, it is not. It is a rite of passage. It takes your work. It takes your diligence. It takes your strength to call back your power from the darkness to rise fully into the light. You cannot fall prey to any resistance or temptations. None. The moment you hesitate to God and the nudge of the heart, which is more quiet and subtle and vulnerable, is the moment you give your power to the shadow. The moment you can't see every way you give your power to the shadow is the moment you are blinded to the light. Okay? But when my DM died on August 30th of 22, right before this, the dome of light was complete, and you can watch that. I get a walk in, I feel my DM's heart stop, I watch God rip his soul out, rip it in half, my twin soul part goes into a new DM, and then I'm aligning with a new DM, and then the dome is complete.
the light dome. And I just mentioned that in here. So let's hear that again.
And then it's all the gods, and that dark shadow is pissed off. Like, it's, guys, I can't reiterate this enough, and I keep hearing the screaming, but it cannot attack. It cannot get back in because of all the work that I've done. There is a protective bubble. All the twin flames are being called in energetically, and trust me, they're feeling it at this time. It's like calling it all in because we're all filled with Christ's light. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So it's the Christ light, massive and flow through the pyramids. I can hear the darkness. All of the gods have surrounded us at this time. And there is me. There's Lord Sananda, or Jesus, Mary Magdalene, who the blood is starting to shed off of her, and their souls are coming back together. They're about at their knees now. It keeps moving. It's the souls healing back together. It's going all the way up like that was split in half. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And there's about one sentence left on that contract. Here we go.
I will tell you really quick. In Mount Shasta, part 2 is when we return the language of God, because it had to be removed because people were using it against the light. And so if you watch Mount Shasta, part 1 is when I undid the contract from Abraham Lincoln, because it was not of light and they murdered him for a reason. And in part 2, I undid the contract that Samael created when another masculine slit the throat of his feminine and shed a whole bunch of bloodshed into Mount Shasta. And at that time when I undid that, that was painful because my DM was supposed to be with me to do that. And they said I didn't have to do it, but I chose to. When I did that, I undid that contract. Archangel Samael burned, okay? And I believe it was in there that the language of God was returned. And that is what I'm speaking. We used to speak a different language. We used to use hieroglyphs and images and sigils to communicate, which is the way the Egyptians communicated on the pyramids. And when I would activate pyramids, I was writing on their walls with light. So I can almost even read the pyramids of the hieroglyphs. Like, I was looking at them from Egypt, and I'm like, I get it. Like, I can understand what it's saying. And I'm getting a lot of chills when I'm saying this. So we used to communicate in this way. So symbols are a part of awakening. Sigils, it's the way we used to communicate. The language of God is not English, it's not French, it's not German, it's not Spanish. It's a light language that was not here. It was removed a long time ago, but it has been since brought back, which is why you do need a lot of healing and to eliminate the matrix, karmic alignment, hidden shadow elimination, removing from the matrix, major trauma release. All of this is required to be able to understand and feel what I'm saying. So only the pure hearts can rise. Only the pure hearts would push past the resistance and have honor towards the path of light. Okay? There will be resistance applied when it's true work of God. That's the testament.
I am activating the tiger.
The tiger is my new DM. I just realized I said that because I channeled this. This was, I'm not myself, like I am in the ether role. I am in the portal of time, which was the Sphinx as well, by the way. And all the pyramids connected to it, or the totality of the portal of time. And when I took us into Pleiades, I went through the black hole through the portal of time, because there's a black hole in the bottom of the Sphinx. So it all really does make sense. I forgot I said these things.
The bears.
By the way, I had to take all the animals through all 13 gates into New Earth, and not all of them made it either. You are eating a lot of genetically modified foods, from the cows to chickens and things were all very genetically modified, and that's why we're getting sick and we can't process these foods. And they do a lot of these things to change your genome pool. That way you are no longer part of God.
These are very powerful spiritual alliances. Oh, yeah. And also, there is a virus matrix wall healing too that you have to do. That's why the plagues are here, because the viruses are already here. They're part of the matrix wall. And if you heal them all, I'm trying to find out which one it came through. It's in here. I actually heal the whole entire matrix virus wall from you as well, becoming the 5DU, and then I take us into 7D. Because if you don't heal that is when you're susceptible to those ailments and sicknesses. But they're not. It's not God saying, "Hey, you know, like we're gonna make you sick." Here it is. Removal of the matrix wall viruses of all kinds. They're codes. And I undo those for you in the path, but you have to take the path to have that healing. That's why I said everything I did for the return of Christ is not on my channel. But God had me show you what I showed you, because the thing is, you guys, is if you bring shadow into this space, you become fallen. You have to take it seriously. You have to be ready to choose above and to love. Since it's all being called in right now, and there's a drop left of blood on that contract. The moment that lasts, it's about to fall off. It's going to be a really big shift. I can't reiterate enough. Buckle up, Buttercup. Let's hear that again. The bears. These are very powerful spiritual alliances. It's all being called in right now, and there's a drop left of blood on that contract. The moment that lasts, it's about to fall off. It's going to be a really big shift. I can't reiterate enough. Buckle up, Buttercup. Because why?
God is resetting our world right now. And your perception will dictate how the Great Reset affects your everyday life.
Let's watch.
That went to dust.
The Holy Grail turned to dust. It really turned to ash. Listen.
Energetically, it went to dust. So the life that was in that contract is gone. That contract, wherever it exists, just turned to like gray. It's still there, but the blood, the written, everything is gone. The Holy Grail has just been undone. Here comes their souls. So much light flowing back into them, back into Mary, back. I could feel it through my center soul, and I didn't fully understand yet who I was at this point either. But when we recently did it again through Adam and Eve, it was intense. Our souls went, and I could feel the sun and the moon coming together in my heart. It was insane. They're about at their headspace now. They're connecting. They're about to be a complete soul. Welcome to the return of Christ. So all this light just went right up the split, whoosh, and it's like healing it, completely healing it back together. Now I will do the Ho'oponopono, and then we will close out this space. So you guys, Horus Return came after that. If you watch this one, I'm just going to play a really quick clip of this one. Let's listen. This is Horus Return, which came on January of 24. Into that, whatever it was, bringing light into whatever it was, allowing the image to become clear, right? So we just shifted her whole entire patterning.
Oh, so it's more weather.
Alignment.
Yeah, listen to the weather.
Of the earth, of the weather.
So I have shifted her patterning. The weather has shifted. Everybody thinks that this is them doing this to you. They think truly that the matrix realm had something to do with the weather right now, and it did not. You are in the end of times. You are in the end of ways outside of God. You are watching the earth correct what was done to her. Because as you heard, her soul, her light, through the sun, through the moon, through God was taken. It was forsaken. It was shortened. It was manipulated. And if you watch all of my Darkness of the Moon videos, they use the moon to manipulate you too, which was Horus' return. Let's listen.
She can hear clearly. She can see clearly. Now all the ribbons have dissipated. So that energy goes where it needs to go. Perfect. Beautiful. Now her water's glowing. It's like glowing. I can see all that light just... That's not something many people know where that is.
We're not going to watch the whole thing of this. I just want you to listen carefully just for a moment.
Very hidden. Like this light around him. But I feel very dizzy. I feel very, like, almost sick to my core. Like something's wrong. I make no judgments, nothing's... I don't want to assume anything's wrong.
See, so I'm trying to right where we start going into Horus' return.
But I feel very dizzy. I feel very, like, almost sick to my core. Like something...
It's really hard to get it right, just right. So hang on. We'll just go from here.
It's not something many people know where that is.
You ready? Let's watch.
Hidden, very secret in the energy. So it can only be accessed through God as a necessity, kind of a thing, with the right heart space. Does that make sense? So not everybody gets to access that ability at all. It's a gift.
I was talking about the weather thing. I actually know how to mess with the weather. I've done it several times on my journey. I've shifted the poles. I'm not normal. You have to watch and work with me to see that, or to have a pure heart. The more of the less shadow that you have, you see who I am. And God said recently when I took us into the final portal, is that if you cannot see all, there was work to do.
All right. So I feel like we're shifting. That was hard to shift out of that quickly. Oh, I feel that shift. Oh, it took some energy. So I'm going to draw more light down into our vessel, just to allow us to realign. Okay, so this eclipse thing, I'm tuning in, I'm drawing that in now. Something's going down, something's going on.
Remember, the eclipse occurred in April of 24, so we hadn't done that one yet. Here it is right here on the eclipse. I called everybody home through the sun and the moon. You can watch that too. It explains that. I had to do that one live. God told me to do a live, and I talked about the whole entire Return of Christ work that I did, which led us right into the eclipse on April of 24. And then I called everybody home.
I see Horus. Still in the ground.
That's going to be too long. Sorry, this was, I was recording the workshop and I was trying to cover their faces. This person actually became a fallen, so they did not remain. They tried to, see, the darkness tries to get in all the time and keep my DM and I apart. So those that rose with me didn't all make it.
And I see Malachi, but I also see my DM. And I feel like they're putting like this light around him. But I feel very dizzy. I feel very, like, almost sick to my core.
So they're putting a light around my DM. Because he wasn't with me, it was making me feel really sick. And I see Horus in the ground. Listen carefully.
Core, like something's wrong. I make no judgments, nothing's... I don't want to assume anything's wrong. It just feels strange. So I ask all of you to just imagine putting light towards Horus, wherever he is in the ground. I feel like all of us just shine our light that way. Just shine our light that way. Put a protective dome around from all of us.
I burped to release. Never you mind that. Sorry, I'm trying to block these because you shouldn't focus on them, but I need to get this out there. So again, I put a protections around all of them. Any negative
is also here. Isn't he an Ascension Master as well? He helped us before. Shakti is here. So there's a lot of goddess and god energy coming in. Zeus, Prometheus. They're here to assist because my DM is not physically with me and it hurts. Like this hurts, something hurts. So you all are going to help me with the moon. I've got the sun. You all are going to help me with the moon. Lisa, they're putting extra protections around you. You'll be limited a little bit just to protect the energy, okay? But still helping, all right? So you're getting a little bit extra protections.
The only reason they were helping with the moon is because my DM was not with me. So if you watch Sekhmet and Horus and all the moon and sun work that I do, that is who we are. Okay, there's many times I take chunks of the sun and I shove it into the earth. We brought back the full power of the sun in Newgrange, Ireland. That's where I took it and filled it into the ley lines, because when the moon and the sun were originally undone and Atlantis fell and I drowned, there were people who escaped there, some of the gods, and they created this very powerful ley line, and then lifespan was shortened. Okay, so when you know the truth, it sets you free.
There, clearing out a little bit of the mind as well.
We're almost done listening to this.
So the Sphinx is coming into play.
We will finish listening to this one at the 2036 mark, so just listen.
I want you guys to imagine now we're sitting around that pyramid of light, right? There's that little pyramid of light in the center. And we are going to draw power from that into your palms. So I want you to imagine sticking your palms out to that pyramid. And this is a little different, but we're going with what they're saying to do. Put your palms on that pyramid. Imagine touching it now.
I had to give them the strength to help me.
I need to draw in the light into you. So I'm opening up the core. Remember, in the core is where Sekhmet, that's relevant. Okay.
So when I dried the Nile, there was a dark crystal in the core of the earth, and I pulled it out and I crushed it, and it spat across the whole entire collective soul for karmic play out. And then I replaced it with the crystal of light back to the core, and the core is like its own pyramid now. And then my soul fragment came back from the time of Sekhmet. The Nile had turned to blood with my feet in it, and then it dried out, and the 13th gate of heaven opened. And that's why recently when I said God bypassed time, we are now in the Nile portal. The 13th gate, the Nile portal, is the last one. And if you have to be a complete pure of heart to make it past all of that. You cannot have none of the matrix with you anymore. None. Okay? Let's listen. We're almost done with this one.
Yeah. The chills. And it's also been changed into a pyramid there too. So that is very relevant for what happened to Sekhmet and Horus and the moon and the sun. Okay? Horus will be reborn. That's what I'm hearing.
I love this. I didn't know. 1 week from the full moon in Leo that I just did. That we just had.
I do. I feel like we're going to raise him out of the dead and put him into my DM. I don't know if I'm just saying what I'm seeing.
That's true. So when you watch the rest of this, which I'm not going to play for you, you can watch it. They help me hold the moon. I break the crust off of the moon. And then Horus's soul rises from the Sphinx and finds my DM. So we aren't normal. And that was just recently. Then after that, I had to undo the tie to religion,
because religion is a shadow. There is no divide. In the new birthing of the new earth, I called back all symbolism from the divide. So even like Judaism, all of them, all of their symbols were returned back to God. Day 6, I called back all light. You cannot hold darkness and light anymore, and you cannot carry light in the shadow. So if you don't choose to heal, you cannot remain. If you have too much darkness, you become a fallen, okay? If you choose to throw darkness at the light, you become a fallen. So be very careful with that, okay? Judgment's not of God. Don't pick it up. Unconditional love. This one, Adam and Eve fully aligned. And then what I have not posted is that I implemented the 13 gates, which I will be showing very soon. Hang on, let me see here. Yay! I will be showing those. Actually, those will be available in the Path to Righteousness. And that is where you heal through every 13th portal. And that is me implementing the pyramid portals into the earth, because we are now officially ascending. Okay? So it's not normal. What really happened is not what they tell you. And it does take a lot of understanding to get there. For those who truly watch this whole entire video, I want to see you. I want to thank you. I want to tell you I love you, because there's always resistance. There's always resistance to get you to not see the truth. There's always judgment that tries to stop you. And if you pick up that energy, you remain blinded. So those pushing past the resistance, those are the ones you will see in the new earth with me and my DM. I also want to tell you that my DM is a very good person. The new DM is a pure soul. The shadow has worked diligently to keep us separate. So recently, again, we had to bypass some of that, and God united Adam and Eve level. So my soul has fully united through Jesus and Mary Magdalene, which you just watched. Sekhmet and Horus, their souls were returned. The fragments came back. This is how I'm telling you each one was a lifetime, but it's all the same soul. And then Adam and Eve, our souls just went whoosh, because the shadow worked diligently to rip apart God, the masculine and feminine, which is actually the Ankh, which is what they broke when they hung Jesus' soul on the cross. They broke the Ankh. The crosses will burn. Our religion will burn, and all of these souls were freed. This is my latest painting when I did the Nile, and when I took us into the ascension phase. So the sun and the moon were returned, as my DM and I. The earthquakes are relevant to the pyramid activations. The weather is relevant to all the pyramid activations, the shifting of the poles, and undoing the Holy Grail. We took our power back. The earth has been returned to Eve and Adam, and all of our soul fragments, and our soul has realigned and been brought back. And I wouldn't make this up if I tried. I didn't know what any of that was. I've never read the Bible. I was in psychology, and I love my children. I would never put any of that at risk, especially to be mocked. Like, who would want that, right? So just know that this is my journey. This was truth. It was from love. It was very powerful. It hurt me very much so. It took everything I've had, including my arm being shadowed. There was physical attacks, spiritual attacks, mental attacks, because the shadow works through the mind. And that's how it gets you to give your power back, blind and bind you. God wanted somebody to see this truth. If it's you, I'm so happy you're here. Be open, because the truth is what sets you free. So much love, my friends. Until next time.